I'm not Mitch Connor, and welcome to part 2. As you can see, the title says something to do with credibility. And Corbett Report has nothing to do with this at all, because he hasn't really even made a video on this subject. But this guy has. Yeah. Now, actor drilled days before. Okay, now the first 3 links in the description. The first link is a photo that is supposedly the face of Saeed Farouk with a big old hole in his face. Viewer discretion advised. And then the second and third one are, well, the second one is the picture of him lying down in handcuffs and around a pool of blood. Which I'll get into the handcuff thing in a sec. And the it's from photo forensics, so it's an ELA scan of it as well. And then an ELA scan of the first link, which when I uploaded the image link directly, for some reason it asked me if I was uploading pornography of sorts. And you can see the screenshot here. Hopefully I didn't forget to put that in. Now, if you'll notice between the 2 photos, his nose is intact in the one where he's face down on the ground, likely dead, with the pool of blood around him. But in the one from Bare Naked Islam, that is not the case. No, neither are photoshopped, but there's no indication that they are. But the second one, the one of his face has got to be fake. It's of something else. I don't know what. But unless they shot him in the face and smashed his nose up after the fact when they were about to take his body away, yeah, that's not him. I've actually tried to talk to the guy at Bare Naked Islam because he messaged me on the video I did on his InfoWars behind Bare Naked Islam, because see how this icon right here, the YouTube icon, or this lack of icon right here, and I just had to pause and back it up and close this tab because I accidentally showed the picture of the mutilated face. Yeah, I don't want to do that. That's not Saeed Farouk. There's no way. Yeah, and even the blood patterns on the right side of his face don't match that of the in the handcuff photo. They don't match what is in the photo of his supposed face from Bare Naked Islam. Anyway, the guy who runs BareNakedIslam.com ended up finding that video and messaging me saying that he has no affiliation with InfoWars. And that's likely true. I'm not going to make false accusations when I have no real basis of them. I was just asking a question because I thought that was weird that, the icon that shows up right here was InfoWars icon when I went to BareNakedIslam.com. So I tried to discuss things with him, and to my knowledge, he has not gotten back to me. So maybe he doesn't want to discuss things, but that's his choice, whatever. Maybe he looked at other videos on my channel and didn't agree. Whatever. So anyway, it's kind of suspicious that he's in handcuffs, and the lawyer actually did say, this guy right that's pictured right here, who I looked into a little bit, he mostly does GWIs, driving while intoxicated cases, as far as I could tell. There was like review sites for like people who had actually used his services of his law firm. He's not the only lawyer in there. He's, it's his law firm, and usually his other lawyers go out and do it, but he's mostly handling this one directly. And he was saying that Saeed Farouk was handcuffed in the car, which would mean it would be impossible to shoot. And, well, I see that as a possibility. Why? Well, it was in this video that made me wonder if he was right. I'll leave this is the 4th link in the description, and she describes 3 shooters.
I heard shots.
I believe it was 3 tall, muscular white men. I'm sorry, it was 3 men militarily dressed with assault rifles. No mention of a woman, but 3 men. She starts describing it at about the 35-second mark. Now, I hope you still have that photo open of Saeed Farouk handcuffed and likely dead on the ground. She also describes about right around 2 minutes. I can't remember the exact starting point, but it's no earlier than 2 minutes. And she said that they were all wearing long sleeves. Saeed Farouk is wearing short sleeves. She also said they were wearing cargo pants with like big puffy pockets. Now that could be mistaken for what was around Farouk's leg, which was basically like a ammo holding kind of apparatus. But she did say for sure there were 3 people, and all men. I would think what's her face, Miss Malik, would even if she couldn't really see their faces and stuff. And sorry, I don't think she said white men. My bad. Memories aren't perfect, as far as quotations when it comes to me. But I think she would have been be able to identify it as a woman, like just by the way she would walk.
It looks like they're...
I'm sorry, right at 2:40 she does say it does look like their skin holes was white, basically like where she could see the skin. They were white. Now, though, the suspected shooters were, they weren't like, Negro. They weren't black people. And don't even tell me that's a fucking racist word. Don't even. Okay, that's a scientific word. But, excuse me. But, you can usually tell just by the skin tone, if it's a Caucasian or, someone of Arabic descent. There's a difference in skin tone for the most part, Sometimes you can't, but if you see his face here, even though it's slightly, the color has changed a little bit, But you've seen this picture, His skin was dark enough to tell. Hers was too. So she's describing white men. And that's why I think that lawyer might be telling the truth. Now, as far as the whole Sandy Hook mention that he does, which this particular video is about, and I don't necessarily agree with it, there's a possibility he saw some things wrong with Sandy Hook too. I don't know, But the truth is, I don't know what the truth is about, this guy's mention of Sandy Hook. And what the reason is for it, I looked into his law firm, and it didn't really reveal anything about that, so, I don't know what to say. I have one suspicion, and that's that his law firm is just up the road from Laurel Canyon. And Laurel Canyon is, a hotbed of intelligence ops. But, once again, he does generally DWI cases, tries to get you off and out of trouble for drunk driving. That's what every review was about. It wasn't about any major criminal case. It was a DWI. Now, what I find much more suspicious is the involvement of CARE. Council for American Islamic Relations, I believe it was what it stands for. Sorry, I sometimes forget acronyms. But it's a group I knew nothing about a year ago. And I've learned a bit about it, and... well, they may very well be covering for terrorists. But I don't know that for sure, They might not, because, they were involved with the whole Jihadi John thing. And, when he got apprehended, 2011? When he was trying to go to Syria, I think it was. One of the Middle Eastern countries. Anyway, I'm just doing this off of memory. But, they were talking to him and stuff, and, trying to basically protect him and stuff. And that was when Muhammad Emwazi, who's supposedly Jihadi John, and I've seen no sure evidence that he is, but I think that story is a fake story. Whatever happened to that guy, I don't know, but, CARE interviewed him and found out that, he basically didn't agree with what happened on 9/11, and like all the persecution of Muslims, but, he wasn't talking about violence and stuff. And, well, Kerry was the first to release a statement via the, what was it, the brother or the uncle of Saeed Farouk? I forget which. It was one or the other. But it was only a couple hours after he was identified. Like, it was like almost like they had his number. Which was ultimately suspicious as hell, as far as I'm concerned. They always seem to be there with, some sort of representative or, somebody who knows who the perpetrator of this or that thing, and always with a statement. So at this point, I don't know whether or not they're involved, and I'm not going to go too far in making statements on, whether or not they were. But that woman was sure that there were 3 shooters and that they were men. And it seemed pretty sure that they were white, too. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that there were 3 real shooters and that these people were the set-up patsies, okay? Because they supposedly got away, and then they get chased down later on. Well, it could have been that they were basically, taken by somebody else into this van, dressed up like, military-ish kind of stuff, black military-ish gear, and killed while the other person was allowed to get away. That's up in the realm of possibility. But I see no evidence that it was a hoax, okay? None whatsoever. There are certainly 2 dead bodies. But, now, I have not seen videos of the victims of the attack, okay? I've seen people wheeled out on stretchers that were alive, that got shot, but actual victims who died, I have not seen this. But I have not seen one witness who makes me think that they are, crisis actors or whatever. I really don't like that term unless it's in reference to the Boston Marathon bombing, to be honest. But I don't see anybody as being an actor. Oh, God, there was one, was it on this or was it on Team Wake 'em Up? And there was this woman whose daughter was there, and she was talking about how her communication with her daughter, and I'm pretty sure it was Mr. Batla here, that if not Truth Media Revolution, that was saying that they were faking or something, they were acting. And I saw nothing but genuineness from this person, okay? Like, I couldn't see anything but genuine testimonies. I have not seen one yet that didn't seem genuine to me. And that frustrates me, Like, is everybody under this all these people under these preconceived notions that it's just every time going to be a hoax? They've done stuff like this before. For, going back a long ways. I mean, the, what was the college that, tower shooting at that college in Texas in the 1960s, and there was obviously multiple shooters, okay? I've seen video of, stuff that not one person could not do, yet it was pinned on one person, okay, who was likely a patsy. This has often happened. The 9/11 hijackers, most of whom were still alive and not even in America, and were pinned as the hijackers, and yet they weren't on the passenger lists either. Yet still the mainstream media will say, will never admit that. I mean, where's the crime scene evidence, that it's fake? Because I haven't seen any. I mean, like I've said, I completely understand, why people would doubt what the media is putting out. But you got to be able to recognize, and it's not always easy, but you got to recognize the difference between sensationalism and outright fabrication. Oh yeah, one other thing about the handcuffed guy on the ground, Saeed Farouk. Okay, he might not have been dead when they killed him, if in fact, and we don't know this because we don't have footage of this shootout. But if somebody finds it, I'd love to see it. But if in fact, he wasn't handcuffed in the car the whole time, he might not have been completely dead by the time it got to that point. So it's possible they handcuffed him in anticipation of him potentially getting up and doing something. We don't know this. But then again, it's also very difficult, to mistake two for three people. There's a possibility, that one of them could have been a woman, and she did actually see three people and one got away. I do not know this, and I think that's going to be hard to determine. But to automatically call it a hoax, without some really damning evidence is irresponsible. And soon enough I'll get into why. And I hope you're willing to listen, because I'm trying to talk sense here. I'm not trying to disparage anybody except for, I got no respect for this guy anymore. But I put more on him having 51,000 subscribers on this one. I think he's got like 60,000 on Team Wake 'em Up. Okay. See, the more of those you get, the more responsibility you kind of have of actually getting to the truth, okay? The less room you have for mistakes, for your own credibility. And plus he puts it so cut and dry, like this is what it is, rather than could it be, while still recognizing the possibility that it's completely real, He is just straight saying it's a hoax, when there's no evidence that it is. That being said, there's also a lack of evidence for the supposed online activity of these two people. There's claims, written in news stories, but they don't actually put out the evidence. We don't even get a screenshot. Yeah, her Facebook account got deleted like right after that, or right after posting at 11 a.m. that she supports the Islamic State in the midst of the shooting, by the way. But nobody has a screenshot of it, so how the hell do they know, So we don't know if that's actually a legitimate fact. And that's a problem, a big problem. And that's a problem that I will address when I get to the part of this that's focusing on the media. This bugs me too, because I used to really like this guy. I thought that what he did was great, and no longer. I'm sorry, he's been doing a really bad job lately. He's not proving anything, and that's a problem. And because of that, you reap what you sow. Well, if he gets trolls, that's what he gets. Maybe that pisses people off. I mean, even the Planned Parenthood shooting, there's no evidence it's a hoax. I haven't seen any. I'm pretty sure it was him that did a video of, and this was reminiscent of Dylan Roof too. What is it? How they had him on like a flat screen TV. He was in another place, okay? But they do that now, okay? There was a recent case of in my hometown where this guy ends up flipping out because of a traffic backup because of a yearly thing the firefighters around here do at this certain intersection where they try to get donations for charity. And the firefighter came up to his car, and the guy flips out because he's stuck in traffic, and he ends up turning around, going down the street, turning around again, and coming back and running into the guy, sending him flying into somebody's windshield head first. My coworker actually witnessed this. Well, when that guy actually went to the courtroom, when that guy's first hearing, it was via video, exactly like this Planned Parenthood shooter and Dylan Roof. That's not evidence of a hoax, okay? Like I said, I know somebody who witnessed this particular incident in my hometown, and then I ended up seeing that on the local news. Technology is being utilized more and more now, probably for the sake of convenience. So it's not that weird to do such a thing. Oh yeah, and this guy doesn't mean squat either. It's because he's wearing a Mason hat. He's probably a third-degree Mason. Most of them are. My grandpa never got further than that. I'm sorry, not every Mason is part of some grand conspiracy. Maybe the 33-degree ones are, yeah, but most of them are not. They don't frickin' know what's going on. Most of them are actually good people who try to do good things through the Masons, the Shriners, whatever, but that's not always the case. Some of them think they're good people, but they're hailing Lucifer, like that one infamous video on YouTube that I'm sure has been at least pretty close to viral by now. Which viral is like 5 million views now, by the way. So those who call a viral video, oh, it's getting 100,000 views. No, that's not viral. Now, I completely understand doubting all this stuff, okay? Being skeptical of the media is great, okay? Well, once again, this is irresponsible doing what he's doing here. Completely irresponsible. Just because it seems to fit an agenda, Anything that seems to fit an agenda will be taken and used if they can find it. That's a fact. Doesn't matter if it's real or not. They're going to spin things, no matter who it is, Fox News, CNN, whatever. They're going to spin things. They're going to try to frame it the way that they want you to see it. And what he's doing here is no better. No better. Because the truth is, the answers to what this is are not clear. We don't have the proof of we don't have access to the proof of the internet history of these folks. And this is an age where proof should be abundant, but it's not. Okay? And that's a problem. Yeah, why should we believe them, but that's why I try to research this stuff on my own and see what I can find, look at what others are finding, see if that's credible. But there are reports, that there was a SWAT team drill going on at the same time as this shooting, and that it was pretty nearby, and that's why they were able to respond so quickly. I don't even know that for sure. I don't have proof of that. I have some articles about it, Though the drill a couple of days before, was it 2 days before? Something like that. That isn't necessarily connected. And plus it was a monthly drill. Okay. And monthly drills aren't something that's exactly out of the ordinary for, police, firefighters, medical response teams. Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they practice? But when it happens to be for the same thing at the same time, yeah, that's suspicious. But is there is there actual confirmation of this drill actually going on, or is it just written in the media, in a news story? Which could be very well that a story, we don't know that for sure. Yeah, likely that's true, sure, but, we don't have I haven't seen documented evidence, and I would think enough of, it would be enough to have, to just see a link to the police's website or something, and like this drill, showing that this drill is scheduled for this date and time, and that it actually happens to be at the same time. If I were to see that, it's like, okay, yeah, there was a drill going on there. It's documented on the police's website. I haven't seen that, so I don't even know that for sure, But yeah, that's probably something that's true, And if that's true, well, of course, that is suspicious as hell. Once again, what are the odds, along with, 9/11, 7/7, yada, yada. I explained that in the last video. Not that you, the viewer, probably don't know the reasoning behind it. You probably already do. So, preaching to the congregation and all. But now, of course, this stuff does fit the police state agenda and all. And maybe I'll get into that in another video. But there's another side to it, too. A side that I don't really see many people paying attention to, because you can't, you assume it's all fake, you might get struck by it, but I'll go into that more later. But my opinion is, I think that this whole thing is complex. It's most certainly complex, okay? And so complex, I'm not black and white about it at all. I see people being black and white about it, or, us against them sort of thing, and it's deeper than that. Because the Islamic State is an issue, and I'll get into that in one of the next few videos, if not the next one. And there's some things that need to be understood about it, okay? That it's not completely fake. There's aspects to it that are fake, okay? And I still stick by, it's a prediction, and I could be wrong. And there's a good possibility I will be wrong with what happened with Russia. But, all this is being built up, for a Republican president who might very well be Donald Trump. And he could be the best thing for this country, and he could be the worst thing for this country, and I think there's a 50-50 chance on that. But either way, you don't have to have a fake terrorist attack. You could have a real one. And a guy like Trump, well, he'd do something about it, and probably do exactly what the elite want him to do, whether he knows it or not. Republicans are a little bit war hawks, they tend to be. And there's a time for war, there's a time for peace, but, well, I still think there's going to be a larger terrorist attack when the next president, who I think will be a Republican, and I don't think it'll be Jeb Bush anymore. I think that there is nothing that guy can do anymore to get in there. He has made himself look so bad. If they were to rig the election, it would be so freaking obvious. Too obvious for the system. And I think that attack will most likely be real. I think it'll have to be. I also think there will be people calling it a hoax, and, well, I'll call them out for it then. If they do, if it actually isn't a hoax. I don't know. There could be a bunch of terrorist attacks at the same time around the country. What if Paris was a preliminary practice exercise for that in a way? Because the threat is... See, Islamic State is not a threat to this country or to the... It's a potential threat to the people in this country, but it's not like it's going to take down America and take over. That's not going to happen. And that's what I meant when I said that it's not a threat to America, okay? That doesn't mean that, jihadis can't get in here somehow. We are bringing in Syrians, sorry. And background checks aren't doing too well with them, so don't assume that we won't have some jihadis here pulling off some terrorist attacks that are from outside of this country. But that's not a threat to America. It's a threat to whoever might get killed by them. They're not going to take over the country. And of course, I'm open to discussion on these things, time willing, but I haven't messed around with comments or Google Plus all that much lately. But at this point, if you don't want to soberly discuss things Well, I might just ban you and delete your comment because
Mitch Connor.